published by World Meteorological Organization WMO. There is a 60% chance of La Niña conditions emerging towards the end of this year, according to a new update from the World Meteorological Organization, WMO. Key messages. La Niña has relative short-term cooling impact on global climate. It generally has opposite impacts to El Niño. Longer-term global warming continues. Neutral El Niño-Southern Oscillation conditions currently prevail. Early warnings and seasonal predictions help climate adaptation. Latest forecasts from WMO Global Producing Centers of Long-Range Forecasts indicate a 55% likelihood of a transition from the current neutral conditions, neither El Niño nor La Niña, to La Niña conditions during September to November 2024. This likelihood increases to 60% from October 2024 to February 2025, with the chance of El Niño redeveloping during this time being negligible. La Niña refers to the large-scale cooling of the ocean surface temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean, coupled with changes in the tropical atmospheric circulation, such as winds, pressure and rainfall. The effects of each La Niña event vary depending on its intensity, duration, time of year it develops, and the interaction with other climate drivers. Generally, La Niña produces the opposite climate impacts to El Niño, especially in tropical regions. However, naturally occurring climate events such as La Niña and El Niño events are taking place in the broader context of human-induced climate change, which is increasing global temperatures, exacerbating extreme weather and climate, and impacting seasonal rainfall and temperature patterns. WMO Secretary General Celeste Salo highlights that, since June 2023 we have seen an extended streak of exceptional global land and sea surface temperature. Even if a short-term cooling La Niña event does emerge, it will not change the long-term trajectory of rising global temperatures due to heat-trapping greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The past 9 years have been the warmest on record even with the cooling influence of a multi-year La Niña from 2020 to early 2023. The 2023-24 El Niño event started emerging in June 2023 and peaked in November 2023 to January 2024 as one of the 5 strongest on record before dissipating, although some impacts continued. For the past 3 months, neutral conditions have prevailed, neither El Niño nor La Niña. But we have still seen widespread extreme weather conditions, including intense heat and devastating rainfall. This is why the early warnings for all initiative remains WMO's top priority. Seasonal forecasts for El Niño and La Niña and the associated impacts on the climate patterns globally are an important tool to inform early warnings and early action, said Celeste Salo. Global Seasonal Climate Update. Given that the El Niño-Southern Oscillation, ENSO, is not the only driver of the Earth's climate system, WMO also issues regular Global Seasonal Climate Updates, GSCU. These updates incorporate the influences of other major climate variability modes, including the North Atlantic Oscillation, the Arctic Oscillation and the Indian Ocean Dipole. The latest GSCU indicates that widespread above-normal sea surface temperatures are expected to persist in all ocean basins apart from the near-equatorial eastern Pacific Ocean, consistent with the predicted emergence of weak La Niña conditions. As a result, above-normal temperatures are predicted over almost all land areas. Predictions for large-scale rainfall patterns partially align with the typical impacts observed during the early stage of La Niña conditions, including above-normal rainfall in far northern South America, Central America, the Caribbean, northern Greater Horn of Africa and the Sahel, parts of Southeast Asia and Central Maritime Continent. The WMO updates are based on WMO Global Producing Centers of Long-Range Forecasts and are designed to support governments, the United Nations, decision-makers and stakeholders in climate-sensitive sectors to protect lives and livelihoods. WMO Regional Climate Centers and National Meteorological and Hydrological Services, NMHSs, will closely monitor changes in the state of ENSO over the coming months. The World Meteorological Organization, WMO, is a specialized agency of the United Nations responsible for promoting international cooperation in atmospheric science and meteorology. September 2024 Quick Look. Published by International Research Institute for Climate and Society, Columbia University. September 12, 2024. A monthly summary of the status of El Niño, La Niña, and the Southern Oscillation, or ENSO, based on the Niño 3.4 index, 120-170 W, S5S5N. As of mid-August 2024, ENSO-neutral conditions persist in the western equatorial Pacific, and oceanic and atmospheric indicators also align with an ENSO-neutral state. The IRI ENSO prediction plume forecasts ENSO-neutral conditions for August to October, and Sept to November, 2024. Borderline La Niña conditions are forecasted during October to December, and November to January, but with very weakly elevated probabilities. ENSO-neutral conditions subsequently re-emerge as the most likely during the boreal winter and spring of 2025. Similar to the most recent official CPC ENSO outlook, issued on August 8, 2024, the objective IRI model-based ENSO outlook forecasts indicate ENSO-neutral conditions for August to October 2024. However, there is a notable difference between the probability numbers in the early month CPC and mid-month IRI ENSO forecasts. The CPC ENSO outlook predicts a clear preference for La Niña onset in Sept to November, 66% chances, with continuation until January to March, 2025, 57% chances, and then a return to ENSO-neutral state during boreal spring of 2025. In contrast, the objective IRI ENSO forecasts show late, weak and temporary La Niña conditions in October to December, and November to January. The forecasts then show a return to ENSO-neutral conditions that remain dominant during the boreal winter and spring of 2025.